All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we are going to be going back to our NBA Weekly, which is something that I've done week in and week out, except 1 week throughout the season on this channel, and I've had fun. Last week was the first week where we tried something new, a new format of NBA Weekly, to where, you know, the first 5 to 10 minutes we're just talking about the seeding, the records, the landscape of the NBA, and then we really just deep dive into specific teams and talk about, you know, the most trending teams of the week, whether it's good for good reasons or for bad reasons. But that second half of this video is really a lot more polished and getting some feedback. When I mean some, I mean my girlfriend. She said she liked it more because there was a lot more edits and stuff. So that's something I'm going to continue to do more. If you guys can let me know what you think of the new format, that'd be great. Anything that I can improve upon, something that you don't like or that you do like that you want to see change, so that way I don't change it later down the road. Whole lot of things. But with that being said, let's get right into it. If you haven't seen this before, this first bit of the video, we're actually just going to talk about the seedings, and then we'll go from there. So the Nuggets, 46-19, they have taken a stronghold. You know what I mean? A stronghold in that first seed. Towards that later part of the season, definitely they're probably going to rest their players a lot more. The Kings have taken a hold of the second seed. Granted, they're tied with the Grizzlies, but still a big deal nonetheless. Grizzlies, obviously the whole thing with John Morant, it's just terrible. Brandon Clark out for the season, torn Achilles. Steven Adams is still out. Dylan Brooks is just horrible right now. So it's rough for the Grizzlies. Suns on the way up. Definitely D-Book playing great with Kevin Durant there. Kevin Durant, still Kevin Durant. It's just their whole team is so elevated by Kevin Durant's presence, and everyone knew that would happen, but seeing it is just a whole nother thing. Mavericks 34-32, staying with the Warriors. They are 2.5 games behind each of them from the 4th seed, which is the Suns, but the Suns are probably gonna have a stronghold on that 4th seed, let's be honest. If the Grizzlies keep losing, they might be able to sneak into that 3rd seed, because I do see the Kings keeping onto that 2nd seed as long as they can just stay above 500. I mean, you'd have to be better than 500 realistically, because the Suns, I have a hard time imagining the Suns are going to lose a whole lot of games from the remaining whatever is left. But Warriors, like I said, 34-32. Timberwolves, this is where it gets a lot more hectic. So from the 5th seed all the way to the 13th seed. Yeah, because the Jazz are 3 games away from the 5th seed. But Timberwolves, like I said, 34-33, half a game away from the 5th seed. Clippers, 34-33, also half a game away from the 5th seed. Mind you, again, teams want to get at least the 6th seed so they can avoid the play-in. 7th seed to 10th seed is playing. Lakers 32-34. They are 2 games away from the 5th seed. Pelicans 2.5. Pelicans definitely have been on a massive rough stretch without Zion. Things have definitely fallen apart. Thunder and the Jazz. So I know there's the Blazers right there. Thunder and Jazz I wouldn't worry so much about. The Thunder are pretty much openly tanking. I know that they've won 3 in a row, but they are the closest thing to openly tanking because they got guys who they're just calling out of games. They have said publicly that they're going to limit Shea's numbers for his health, but really they're just openly tanking to try to get they know that they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. They would lose first round even if they somehow managed to win the play-in. So they're like, hey, let's get a better pick out of this. And they're just going to next year with all these draft picks that we have. We can make some trades, obviously make progress with Chet Holmgren and seeing him come back. And then if they do draft people, again, that's just more young pieces already into their amazing young core, especially with Shea being, you know, the face of that franchise. So Thunder definitely in good position moving forward for years to come. And the Jazz are also very much openly taking. I mean, they traded away pieces to make their team worse. They're giving guys like Taylor Horn-Tucker a lot of minutes. Laurie, you know, as good as he's been this season, he can't elevate that team to much more. Like, just he's done his best. But yeah, that team is pretty much openly tanking. Trailblazers have won 2 in a row. I think really what it's going to come down to is Trailblazers or Pelicans for that 10th seed. Now, obviously, the Lakers, you know, only half a game up against the Pelicans. But I think with the way they've been playing lately, they should definitely make the play-in. And when LeBron comes back, that team's dangerous. And then the Spurs and the Rockets suck. Nothing's new about that. Going to the eastern side of things real quick. Bucks at 47-18. They've been playing phenomenal in the past, they were undefeated in the month of February, and then they just won 2 in a row. Celtics, they've been on a really, really, really rough stretch. Lost to a Knicks team without Jalen Brunson. Lost to a Nets team when they were up 28. Lost to the Cavs when they were up the entire game. Granted, they were without Jason Tatum, but there's no excuse for that. Grant Williams had 2 free throws. All he had to do was make 1. Guy missed 2 free throws. Couldn't make 1 to win the game with 0 seconds left on the clock. Or I guess point whatever it was, but yeah, it's just horrible. 76ers looking real solid right now. Joel Embiid is playing really, really well. And obviously James Harden is, and Tyrese Maxey has hit a whole new gear in the past, 6 games. Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell's a savage, 4th seed. I don't think that they'll take over the Sixers 3rd seed. I think the Cavs are definitely just trying to fight off the Knicks at this point in time for that 4th seed, so that they're probably both going to go up against each other no matter what, unless somehow the Knicks choke and they allow the Nets to get back in it. I mean, they're only a game behind, so you never know. It is close. It is. So, Nets, Mikal Bridges has been playing amazing. I love the way Mikal's playing. Just a lot more aggressive. He's definitely letting the shots come to him, but also forcing the matter and sometimes taking over when he knows that he has to take over. So, I love the way that Mikal's playing as of late. Heat, 35-31. Jimmy Butler's a beast. Bam's a beast, but the health of this team and the lack of offense for this team is just really hurting them. Hawks 32-33. Mad inconsistent. Definitely playing bound. Toronto Raptors and Wizards look like they're still in the limelight from the Bulls and the Pacers, and that they're going to stay in the play-in. The Bulls have been horrible. The Pacers, I mean, that stretch where Tyrese was gone screwed them. And then the Magic lost 2 in a row. So, you know, rough stretch all around for the worst teams, because, I mean, Hornets, LaMelo Ball being out for the season. I know I talked about it last week, but that is just terrible, man. That is so terrible. 4 ankle injuries in 1 year. Horrible. Run by the stats real quick. Points per game, Joel Embiid leads the way. Tied with Luka, but he probably has decimals ahead of him. Dame time 3. Giannis 4, Shea 5. Rebounds per game, Sabonis leads the way. Then Giannis, Jokic at 3, Rudy at 4, Clint Capella at 5. Assists per game, James Harden has really, really been amazing, and that is just an understatement. Absolute playmaker on the Sixers right now. Him and Embiid have so much chemistry. It's amazing to watch. James Harden leading the way in assists per game. Tyrese Halliburton 2, Trae Young 3, Jokic 4, and John Morant 5. Field goal percentage, talk about it every time. It's just layups and mini hook shots. 3-pointers made. Buddy Hield is leading the way, but Klay Thompson is crawling his way back, dude. That's crazy. And with as much games as Steph has missed, he's still tied with Jason Tatum. That lets you know how lethal Steph is, man. He's missed so much games, and he's still tied with JT. Donovan at 4. Dame time, of course, at 3. Klay at 2. 3-point percentage. Malcolm Brogdon, been a sniper. Luke Kennard, sniper. Al Horford as a freaking center, sniper. Isaiah Joe, absolute flamethrower. He can just heat up and just take over. 44.4 at number 4. And Contavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP with Denver. Huge help with being able to apply that perimeter offense. Blocks per game, Jaren Jackson, he leads the way. Problem is that he fouls so much, so it's a gift and a curse. Nick Claxton 2, Brook Lopez 3, Miles Turner 4, Walker Kessler 5. Steals per game, OG, long arms. Jimmy, who's just got a nose for the ball, man. Tyrese Halliburton 3, Shea 4, Anthony Edwards 5. Real quick, super quick. I want to get into the second half of this video already, but there was this post on Reddit that really got on my nerves. I don't think I'll be able to find it, to be honest with you guys, but I was mad annoyed because it was a post about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and like what he's doing on the defensive end. And the reason why it pissed me off is because people are like, Shea is such a great defender. He's really a two-way player. Blah, blah, blah. Listen, Shea, along with LaMelo, are one of my favorite players in the NBA. And anytime the Thunder play, you already know I'm watching some Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think I'm going to find it, to be honest with you guys. There's this post. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is the NBA's number 5 leading scorer. He is also number 1 in deflections, number 1 in loose balls recovered, number 5 in steals, number 1 guard in blocks, number 1 guard in stocks, which is steals and blocks, number 2 guard in contested threes, two-way star. And this kind of shit is so misleading because Shea is he is a horrible, and I mean horrible, on-ball defender. The dude just has no lateral movement. It seems like more so because, he does so much on the offensive end. But a lot of this too is, you have to understand, he plays a shit ton of minutes. So he's already up there in minutes. But what Shea is good at, and what I will say a lot of this shows, is he's a good weak side defender, off-ball defender, because again, what Shea does struggle in is that on ball. So he gives a lot of space, helps out, but then gets his hands. He has such active hands, and that's what I do say that I really like about Shea, is that his hands are so active, and that stuff is really good. He is pretty good at blocking, but again, his blocks typically aren't like, hey, I'm guarding you one-on-one, I'm gonna block you. No, it's, him coming from the weak side and then coming out of nowhere for the block. Shea does a lot of weak side blocks. So this post, you got guys saying like shit that is so outrageous. Like, dude, Shea, first team All-NBA, in my opinion. Really? You think fucking Shea's first team All-NBA, bro? Like, listen, I love me some Shea. Luka is ahead of him. You could argue that Ja isn't ahead of him, to be honest with you. Even though Steph has barely played, dude, Steph's gonna get voted. Like, that's just the way the NBA works, and that's just fucking... It's fucking rough, but... I mean, look at it through the All-Star game. Steph got voted All-Star starter. So, with the whole first-team NBA, I just don't... He's definitely not better than Luka. That's definitely not a question. And then we go... Let's see, what's the next comment? It was some of this shit, man. Let's see, hold on. Right here. I said earlier in the year that he was clearly a better defender than Steph, and people acting like I was insane. People on here don't watch games. I'm not saying that Steph is a great defender, but on ball, Shea is like, we're actually gonna pull up. All right, so here we are real quick looking at guard defensive win shares. By the way, this is NBA advanced stats, so this is officially by the NBA. Defensive win shares is basically one-on-one. How much buckets do you get on me? If you guys want an advanced, or I guess a detailed defensive win shares. Defensive win shares is a player statistic that attributes credit to players based on their ability to prevent opposing teams from scoring. So, a lot of that is, do you get scored on? So we actually look at this, and a lot of it's crazy. Like, you'd never think you'd see Ja at 5, but Ja's actually at 5, which is pretty crazy. Again, this is strictly for guards. Donovan Mitchell 6, Karis LeVert 7, Jason Tatum 8. But we're gonna actually just keep going. And where the freak And I mean, where the freak? I mean, okay, let me be blunt too. It doesn't take into account the difficulty of who you're guarding. So Donovan could just be guarding, like, you know, not the best players more often than not, right? But again, we're strictly looking at defensive win shares, and then we'll get also into defensive rating. So we're actually going to have to go down to 32 in guards. Like, this is all guards. Shea is 0.099. which is not good, because you're getting into not good defender territory. To give you an idea, Trae Young, who's a bad defender, is 0.95. So 0.09 is not good. Shea is the 32 ranked guard, not player, guard in the NBA at defense of win shares, which again is really bad. So this idea of that on that Reddit post that he's some sort of elite defender, no, he's not. What I will say is what Shea is really good at is he's a good weak side defender. But players like Desmond Bane, Drew Holiday, defensive rating really high. But again, the defensive win shares is what I like to look at, because that is a lot more isolation defense. And that to me is a huge freaking deal, because, you know, can you play defense? Can you get up on someone and do your thing? And I mean, as you can see here, Shea don't play no on-ball defense. It's just not what he does. So that's something that I wanted you guys to look at real quick. But now let's get into that second half segment of this video. Okay, so 3 teams that I want to talk about today for this segment of the video. The more in-depth, the more visually appealing part of the NBA Weekly videos. First team we're going to talk about, and I think is the most trending team, not for good reasons, is the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Grizzlies have been struggling. A lot of it too, because for one, there just seems to be so many distractions off the court, and it leading up to this John Morant situation with him with holding a gun on Instagram Live, which again is really stupid. Not a good look, but again, reports coming out about the Pacer staffers and the drama that went down with John Morant's crew. Early on, people were saying Ja's got to stop hanging around these people, blah, blah, blah. But with every new report that comes out, what's the common denominator here? Is that it's about John Morant. So at some point, you got to hold this guy who's 23 years old, I believe he's 23 years old, accountable. Sorry, I'm looking down. I should be looking at you guys. But you got to hold this 23-year-old accountable for his fucking actions. Like, he's a millionaire. He has his own Nike signature shoe. He was supposed to be the face of Powerade. I think he still will be. I don't think they'll cancel that. But there's so much surrounding this guy and drama right now because of his decision to be gangster, quote unquote. I'm just using what the media is using. I'm not saying these words myself, because it just feels like out of pocket for someone like me to say, because let's be honest, I don't know John Morant. But again, it's such a distraction. Then you have guys like Brandon Clark, who again torn Achilles, out for the season. Then you got Dylan Brooks, who's constantly getting on everyone's nerve. And I get if that's your role in the team, but it just seems like, again, your play doesn't back up your talk. And when you got guys like Danny Green saying, you know, there are players on that team who, you know, go home and are really about it, but then you also have guys who are partiers, and John Morant's one of them. Like, it's just not a good look. It's only going to add to their struggles, and I don't know what kind of suspension he could be facing. He actually did just get cleared from the police investigation because with the lack of evidence. But another thing that I think is important to add to this is this guy is 23 years old. He needs to take full accountability for it and not blame it on anyone else. That's one. Two, Coach Jenkins framing this as a mental health thing. Like, again, I don't know John Morant personally, but that just feels like, to say it's inappropriate to keep asking about it when he needs to heal. It's like my guy, he is partying and he's doing dumb shit, and you're talking about him healing. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, the reasoning doesn't make sense. Mental health isn't an excuse to have guns and shit. Again, it just doesn't make sense. I don't like it. Obviously, it's bringing terrible publicity to his team. Hopefully, he can get it together. Not even just temporarily, but moving forward. So whenever he does come back, hopefully, again, shit like this doesn't happen, because it's not just one incident. It was just so much leading up to this, so much leading up to it. So yeah, I definitely want to see, you know, John Morant improve upon himself moving forward. I'm sure a lot of people do, even as just a human being, for sure. Next team I want to talk about is the New York Knicks. Absolutely on fire as of late. They have really taken control of their team chemistry into a whole nother level. And what I mean by that is, adding Josh Hart, they had won 9 in a row. Jalen Brunson playing amazing. Julius Randle playing amazing. Not just playing amazing individually, as a unit, they're all sticking to their roles and not trying to do too much. Emmanuel quickly has really stepping up. You got guys, again, like Josh Hart, who are not scoring the most, not rebounding the most, but they're just applying so much effort and so much heart to the team. Everything that you want to see. Mitchell Robinson coming back from injury, being huge on the boards. I think his presence alone is just so big time for them. And especially when you don't have to play guys like Jericho Sims because of it. As for before, you had to have Isaiah Hartenstein and Jericho Sims. But now you got a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who's a lot more disciplined, a lot better on the alleys. So it's definitely nice to see. And then, you know, you got your role players like Quentin Grimes. It's just, the Knicks team has really taken a big step, and I love the way they're playing basketball right now. Jalen Brunson, again, being what feels like that X factor, just because he's the ball handler, takes control of the game and the flow of the game. Julius Randle is your explosion kind of player. He can just go and just do some crazy shit. And then Emmanuel quickly is your spark plug. I mean, the guy, you saw, if you watched the Celtics game and the Knicks game, you saw it yourself. Emmanuel quickly is capable of so much more than a bench role. And I've said it so much before. I wouldn't say so much, but I've said it before on previous NBA Weekly videos. The guy is a phenomenal player, great addition to that team. Granted, he's been there, but I just, it helps so much what they're trying to do. And losing to the Hornets doesn't help. I think a lot of that was just letting them hang around and trying to just be a little bit too nonchalant. I'm going to say nonchalant, but you let a team float around. You don't just put the dagger in early. You give them a chance to crawl the way back up. The Hornets did that, hit some big time shots. Knicks, you can complain about calls all you want, but you could have put the game away earlier. They should have, they didn't. That's what happens. But again, Jalen Brunson wasn't playing, and they did beat the Knicks. They did beat the Celtics without Jalen Brunson, so that shows really how good this Knicks team can be. And then finally, what I wanted to talk about the most, because I'm a Laker fan, is the play of the Los Angeles Lakers as of late. I mean, you look at it from top to bottom in terms of the rotation. You got guys just giving effort all the time. I mean, obviously AD being the focal point with LeBron out, D'Lo being out, AD having to board and score and just be so much more of prime AD than the AD that, you know, has been sluggish, you know, with injuries throughout. And then you got guys like Austin Reeves who step up big time. Jared Vanderbilt, who's been a phenomenal addition to this team, helping on both sides of the floor, whether it's offensive rebounds or loose balls getting on the floor, or big time defensive rebounds, or big time defensive possessions where he's just locking up. Jared Vanderbilt is absolutely phenomenal for this team. And you got other new additions like Rui Hachimura, who, you know, minutes been going down lately. But the game against, it was yesterday for me because it's Wednesday today. You guys are going to get this on Thursday, so for you guys, it's 2 days ago. But the game against the Grizzlies, Rui came up big time, hitting some clutch shots, clutch boards. Really a fan of his play. That mid-range he just seems so comfortable in. I love it, love it, love it. Troy Brown Jr. playing amazing. Like, the dude is just playing to his role so very well. I really adore it because for the longest of times, Lakers desperately needed someone who's just a 3-and-D. And Troy Brown has really blossomed into that for us. He plays so disciplined defense, doesn't do too much on the offensive end, and hits timely threes. Like, you can't ask for more of that on this team right now. And then players like Lonnie Walker, whose minutes have diminished, with D'Lo out, have stepped up. he's done what he can. Wenyen Gabriel giving effort night in and night out. He may not be playing the best, but that dude gives his heart and soul into this team, man. He absolutely does. Addition to Malik Beasley, you know, he's a sniper. He can bring it in every night. Again, keyword is he can. He doesn't always do such thing. That's the thing with Malik Beasley, is he's a very very streaky shooter. It is it is just it's fun to watch, to say the least. Dennis Schroeder has absolutely revived his career this season, showing really what he can do, and that he didn't deserve to be a free agent. I mean, the way he was playing, yes, but when he's in the right role and you got the right fit for him, he can really blossom. When D'Lo comes back, it's only going to help our team even more. Putting him into a backup position, running that second unit, I think is just going to be amazing. All in all, I'm just in awe of how the Lakers are playing lately. It's a nice change of pace, seeing AD especially play a lot more aggressive, not taking 5 shots a game. For as long as LeBron's out, it's going to be a battle, but it's a battle that I can see them winning. As for before, I just didn't think it was even possible, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, I love what I'm seeing from the Lakers right now. NBA is intense. The West is super close, and so many storylines, man. So many storylines. And as the weeks go, we will be talking about them. So this was this week's edition of NBA Weekly. I appreciate you guys as always for watching. Let me know again what I said earlier in the video. Let me know if you guys want to see more changes made, or you want to see stuff stick around, so that I don't change it moving forward. But I appreciate you guys for watching. This is Ollie Been Different on We've Been Different, and we out.